of a throwback to the deck that Brad Nelson used
Yes.
at the Invitational in Indianapolis in October, I want to say, 2013.
Yeah, I think it was in 2013. I remember. Yeah, it's a similar type of deck where not that he's a lot of planeswalkers. Like he kind of overwhelms you with planeswalkers.
Kind of a Naya Super Friends almost.
Yeah, like a Naya Super Friends is a perfect description. And Chris VanMeter obviously playing Jund Monsters. Both players kept their opening 7 and they're off. Adam leads with a Temple of Abandon. Chris with a Temple of Malice.
Yeah, and this is going to be a matchup where Chris VanMeter's Dreadbores are going to do a lot of work.
Yeah, he's got 2 copies of Dreadbore main. Obviously, the sheer volume of planeswalkers that he has to contend with here could be an issue for him, but he also has a lot of ways to attack it with Stormbreath Dragon.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, CVM basically just he wants to get attackers on the board.
Yeah.
This is not a matchup where Domri Raid is going to shine, even though that's a very important card in a lot of matchups for CVM. It's not as important for him to be generating raw cards as much as it is important for him to just be attacking, to always have something that can attack a planeswalker as soon as it comes into play.
Definitely. So VanMeter has a Sylvan Carrot in play, and Adam Hart takes 2, playing a Stomping Ground to get a Courser of Krufix into play, revealing a Temple of Abandon on top of his deck. So he'll be drawing that card next turn.
Yeah, the old turn 3 Courser of Krufix is a reasonable play, not one to sneeze at, but you always want your Courser to come down on a turn when you have a land drop free, so that you can find a land and immediately play it.
And Krufix seems like it's one of these cards that we're going to be seeing around for a long time.
Oh yeah, I think the package, kind of the green mid-range package of. At first we thought Courser of Krufix and Sylvan Caryatid. It's starting to seem like Eidolon of Blossoms is the third wise man. Just like got to be part of that green package. But
yeah, I kind of like the idea that Courser of Krufix is kind of going to be a staple.
Yeah,
because it is a really interesting card. VanMeter plays a Polychronos on his turn, another card that could be somewhat problematic for this deck. I mean, obviously, the monstrous ability can make it a pretty significant threat, but Adam does have a lot of ways to kind of chump block and sort of get in the way of that.
Yeah, he can manage Polychronos. He's actually going to have a very hard time removing it. Previous iterations of this deck, the version that Brad Nelson played, leaned on Chain to the Rocks to deal with big creatures. Adam does not have any of those. He has 3 Selesnya Charm. And that's pretty much it. He has 4 Mizium Mortars. That won't do it. It might be able to do it in conjunction with a Chandra Pyromaster, maybe. But going to be stretched a little thin dealing with a 5/5.
So Hart decides to just play a land and pass the turn. VanMeter here, let's decide what he wants to do. He does have a Dreadbore, so he can try to go after that Courser of Krufix. He also has another Sylvan Caryatid along with, it looks like a Xenagos the Reveler there.
Yeah. So a couple of options there. If I'm CVM, I am not eager to blow my Dreadbore so early. Course of Krufix is certainly a respectable Magic card, but I think he knows the matchup. I feel like there are only 4 undefeated players left at this point, so I'm willing to bet he has a good idea of what's going on in Adam Hart's deck, and I think he knows that there are much juicier targets for that Dreadbore.
Yeah, so let's see here. Adam had access to 4 mana in his turn, yet he made no play. So I'm kind of wondering what kind of hand did he keep here?
Yeah,
is it just a lot of heavy? Is it a lot of like Elspeths and Ajani's in his hand, or
those? Just at a glance here, yeah. Those. Well, there are 2 Archangel Thune, so 2 Archangel, 3 Elspeth, and 3 Ajani. Those are the cards that require more than 4 mana to cast.
Because I believe the Temple of Abandon was the card that he drew last turn, yet he didn't play it. So I wonder why he played a Shockland. It looks like he might have played a Sacred Foundry untapped. So it kind of seems to me that he might be telegraphing Selesnya Charm. I'm not sure exactly what's in his hand.
Yeah, that is interesting. He does have 1 main deck Sundering Growth. I don't think he'll be given a target for that this turn, but he could be just trying to sit on double instant speed interaction. He may have 2 Selesnya Charms in hand. That looks like it. By and large, Adam's deck plays at sorcery speed, so...
Yeah, so it looked like he did need that white mana to cast Selesnya Charm, which he did have, so he's able to deal with the Polychronos. Like you said, he only has 3 copies of Selesnya Charm in his deck. But he does lose his Courser of Krufix because Chris VanMeter did decide to use Dreadbore on it.
Okay, so that was his only white source. So yeah, I missed that part. So that it would make sense that he kind of cost himself a lot of tempo by not using all 4 of his mana that turn. But Polychronos, a big enough deal that it's worth giving up a little bit of a mana advantage there.
Yeah, I thought maybe he'd want to just get that Xenagos the Reveler because I thought I saw Xenagos in his hand, but looks like he's going to actually cast Chandra, ping VanMeter, and then cast the Temple of Abandon and scry it. Oh, he looks like he's going to keep it on the top of his library.
Okay. So, yeah, as we said earlier, Adam Hart wants to keep his planeswalkers. That's how he wins this game, you know. And Chris wins by making sure that every planeswalker that Adam plays, he immediately just attacks it off the board.
Yep.
Chandra, it looks like it's going to stick unless it finds a Dreadbore.
Yeah, Chandra, probably the least threatening of all the planeswalkers that Adam has in his deck. Certainly not on the same power level as Elspeth or Ajani.
True.
Comparable to Xenagos maybe, but VanMeter, though, drew a very powerful spell in Stormbreath Dragon this turn.
Yep. Stormbreath is significant in that it can immediately come down and start attacking planeswalkers. In this case, 5 loyalty, so much more than 4, though.
Yep.
And
so
it looks
let's
like
see here. VanMeter's gonna. Looks like he's gonna uptick here.
So that's going to make 2 mana. That he does have enough then to get the Xenagos into play. This is kind of a burning tree Xenagos. He gets to get it into play and have it replace itself mana-wise.
Yeah, and so Adam does have 4 copies of Misery Mortars to potentially answer the Stormbreath, but looks like he's trying to draw it here.
Doesn't find it there, but gets to go dig a little bit deeper, get that land off the top of his deck.
Does he have? Is this Elspeth or Overload Misery Mortars here?
Both would be quite effective. So it looks like Archangel Flame. So he needed the second white source there.
Double white there. So Archangel Thrune, not very effective against Stormbreath Dragon.
No, it's not the best.
But again, if VanMeter doesn't have a way to deal with it, he might be forced to just leave it back to block, perhaps. Although being able to monstrous Stormbreath Dragon and swing in seems pretty appealing here.
Yeah. It's strange. Archangel Thune is not effective against Stormbreath exactly, but it's not ineffective either because it races it pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you monstrous Stormbreath this turn, it's still you're going to gain 3 life, then 4, then 5. You dig yourself out of a hole pretty quickly, assuming you're doing something else.
Yeah, and Adam does have cards like Ajani, which can put 3 counters on it. He also has other life gain effects in his deck. So, yeah, you're right. It can actually race it pretty effectively. I wonder here, though, with Adam already at 15.
It's close.
It's close.
Very close.
Like, I think it still might be right for VanMeter to attack here. I'm not sure how many cards Adam has in his hand, though. So it's Monstrous actually makes the Stormbreath a 7/7. So at the very least, Adam drops to 8. If he has 2 cards in his hand at least, he drops to 6. So even if he gains 3, it's definitely very close. Depends on how many cards Adam has left in his hand.
Yeah, well, it would be. I don't think that there are enough cards in Adam's hand that it could ever be a 2-turn clock. It's always going to be 3, assuming that Archangel can crack in and gain at least 3.
Yeah.
And again, if he has another way to, like you said, grow the Archangel to gain more life somehow, then I think it's starting to look like a race.
Yeah. I think the only way it's lethal in 2 turns is if Adam has 4 cards in his hand, which I don't think he does.
I do not either.
So it looks like it is going to come through, and we're all going to get that monstrous.
It's the monstrous. So we'll see how. Is that no cards?
No, he must have some.
He's got them close to the chest. There they are. All right. So I believe that's 2 cards.
Yeah. And I think Adam is probably... Oh, wait, no, he drops to 4 here. So I guess it was way more than that.
Oh, wow, that is a lot of cards.
So he did have 4 cards in his hand.
All right. So, that Monster Stormbreath did plenty good work then.
So, yeah, at this point, he can attack with the Archangel, go up to 7, but Stormbreath is a 7/7. So unless he has a pump spell, which it looks like he might have a Celestial Charm, could gain him a little bit more life with that Archangel.
His strongest play here, I think, would be Elspeth to use the minus ability pre-combat to get rid of the Stormbreath.
Yeah.
And keep the Angel. And I think he would definitely be in the clear if he did that. He would be facing 6 on the crackback from a second Satyr and the Mutavault. But he would, well, actually, it would only be 1 Satyr because he could actually kill off Xenagos in conjunction with that Chandra.
Yeah, so he has he revealed a Voyaging Satyr with the Chandra.
And I don't believe Voyaging Satyr helps him out much here.
Yeah, so he's going to actually cast Legend. I'm surprised he didn't cast any of his creatures first to get the counters off Archangel.
Yeah, that is a little bit of lost value, unless he has
another Planeswalker or something.
He may expect to need that mana elsewhere, but he does not.
Yeah, so it looks like he literally just lost a little value there with the Archangel. Obviously, you could have gotten counters on them, but either way, he still has to find an answer to that Stormbreath Dragon.
Yeah,
that's really all that matters right here.
you know, we actually are kind of getting to the point where if he had an Ajani or a Selesnya charm, that actually becomes an answer at this point. At that point, the Archangel becomes big enough to be gaining more life than he loses each swing.
Yeah, so VanMeter needs to hold the Stormbreath Dragon back.
Yes.
To block.
Not this turn.
Not this turn,
yes.
yeah.
But if Adam does find a way to grow his Archangel somehow.
And this could be really relevant because he doesn't have those counters on his creatures, so he is going to be losing at both of his creatures this turn.
Yep, could be relevant. Could be relevant either way. Actually, there's some possibility that the XX Elemental is actually a better piece of cardboard than the Voice of Resurgence itself. On the other hand, Voyaging Satyr is probably better than not Voyaging Satyr.
Yeah. So Chandra gets another peek at what's on top. Ooh, Courser.
Courser.
Let's see here. Does he have a land?
If there's a land below that Courser, that's huge.
So if the Courser comes down and it reveals a land, he gains a life, goes up to 3. Archangel becomes a 4 power. He goes up to 7.
Which is not quite enough.
Not quite there.
And looks like he is in the tank trying to figure out how to draw himself out of this one.
Still not sure what the last cards in his hand are.
Well, he has a land in hand, so he doesn't need the land to be on top of his deck.
Right, so
but there it is,
He
just
does
the
have
same.
one. Does he have another pump spell or some way to gain more
I
life?
believe there's a Voice of Resurgence, so that doesn't do anything. And yeah, with the mana left available to him, I believe he needs one of the cards in his hand to be a Selesnya charm.
Well, no, he'll be able to gain 5 life this turn. Yeah, so he goes up to 8. So yeah, he was, that 1 life, and now Archangel becomes a 5 power, so he will be able to survive this attack.
We were counting the course of Krufix for pumping, but we weren't counting it for actually gaining a life.
That's right, he actually gains a life.
Yeah. Right? So yeah, this game is close.
So suddenly, Adam Hart thinks that the backbone of Archangel Thune is suddenly back in this.
So gonna jump to 8, and
VanMeter is now at 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he can even afford to crack in with this dragon again.
Yeah, and Adam's got a pretty big army in play now because of Archangel. So suddenly VanMeter is under a lot of pressure here. Basically needs like a second Stormbreath Dragon or a Rampager.
And you know, I get that you're looking at going to 1. You kind of feel the need to turtle up, but I want to see Evan Irwin getting in there and brawling that turn. Actually, I think that was a safe swing with that elemental token.
Yeah, Chris only has 1 attacker, right?
Sure.
He doesn't have a Mutavault in play. He just has that Satyr. So yeah, put a little more pressure on him.
Yeah, discounting the dragon, which you can't block either way. Yeah, there's only the 1 relevant attacker, and you're gonna have 2 other blockers no matter what.
So surprisingly, Chandra played a pretty big role in this game. It got him deep enough to actually find the answers he needed.
Yeah, Chandra basically played the role of a Courser of Krufix that doesn't care if it's a land or not.
Yep.
Which is a very powerful effect.
Yeah,
and looks like one that's gonna take away the game.
With Mizzia Mortars on top of Adam's deck, threatening to get overloaded next turn, VanMeter really didn't have a way out of that. So Adam Hart managed to defeat Jund Monsters in the first game of this battle for the XOs.
1 game away from presumably a locked-up top 8 berth.
Yeah, with 10 rounds left, the winner of this likely could draw into that top 8. So very, very important match for them. Looking at their sideboards, what do you see from Adam's side for this matchup?
So Adam has access to an additional Selesnya charm, which is a pretty big deal. He has an additional Archangel of Thune. I think Archangel is very substantial here. Other than that, I'm not sure how I feel about some of these cards. Is Assemble the Legion good here? Is Perforos good here? You know,
yeah, they seem more like controlling cards than really something you'd want against Jund Monsters.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like he has that much.
No, it doesn't.
For this particular matchup.
I believe that that's sort of intentional. That's a byproduct of this deck having a very slanted sideboard towards its control matchup.
Yeah, and which it probably needs.
Yeah, I think this deck is pretty well rounded against everything discounting Sphinx's Revelation. And it definitely needs help there. So most of his cards are not that helpful.
On VanMeter's side, he has a couple of interesting cards. He has 2 copies of Putrefy, which again, another way to deal with Archangel of Thune. Maybe he just wants those. Doomblade, obviously another card that can come in along with Mizzia Mortars. Maybe he just wants those removal cards. Interesting card that is Rakdos Return. Now, how do you feel about Rakdos' turn in this type of matchup where it's kind of like, because again, he doesn't know really what's in Adam's list, but Adam doesn't have a card like Stormbreath Dragon. So, and you saw in this game, Adam had a lot of cards in his hand, like by turn 10, 11. So
yeah, for sure.
If you can just Rakdos' turn for 4 and deal with the Planeswalkers that way, I mean, it is another way to kind of fireball Planeswalkers.
Yeah, I think it's the perfect card for this matchup, honestly. Adam doesn't really get onto the board quickly. He doesn't really start making permanents that are scary until about turn 4.
Yeah.
You know, turn 3 with a Sylvan Caryatid and
with a little help
and lands that cooperate.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely he's pretty exposed to Rakdos' return, I would think.
Yeah. So it seems like the combination of the removal and Rakdos' return from VanMeter's side after board is going to play a huge role in this. I also think Stormbreath Dragon is just really, really good in this matchup. Obviously, Adam has 4 Mizium Mortars, but he's going to get at least 4 damage in. It could potentially kill a Planeswalker, and if he's able to ever untap with it and overload it, there's really very little things, other than Elspeth, there's very little Adam can do about it.
Yeah, Stormbreath is, as it often is in these monsters decks, Stormbreath is an incredibly flexible threat that it kind of weasels its way around a lot of defenses.
Yeah. So both players are going to their sideboards and shuffling up for game 2. While they're doing that, we want to talk about the new promotional series that we've been doing recently. I mean, the last one was, I believe, Squirrel Storm.
Squirrel Storm, which if you caught a glimpse of us at the beginning of the round, we are both rocking our sweet Squirrel Storm pins.
I actually took mine off because I went outside.
What?
But I do still have it.
All right.
You will see it in between after this round. You will see it on me.
Get that thing back on. Man.
But yes, the new one for the next series is Squirrel Acorn Mystic. So Acorn Mystic, I'm not going to give away what it's off of, but it's basically based on a legacy staple. It is a squirrel version of one of the legacy staples that you might be familiar with, maybe not.
You might have heard of a certain something or other mystic that
likes to find things and put them into play.
Likes to run wild all over the legacy scene.
So this is going to be available June 13th. You can get the play mats, the dice bags, the sleeves, the deck boxes. We're also giving away tokens at every Legacy Open Series event starting June 13th. So be sure to look out for that. I know that's really popular. I've been seeing Squirrel Force of Wills. I've been seeing Squirrel Storms. And obviously, you're going to be seeing Acorn Mystics pretty soon. So
plenty more coming. Look at this guy. This cute little guy.
Just a cute little guy.
Too cute to have been banned in Standard. I'll tell you that.
He is way too cute. If this is the picture of what it's based on, there's no way it would have been banned in Standard.
I don't think so either.
Or Modern. So both players are opening up with their 7-card hands. It looks like VanMeter will be on the play this game, and it looks like he's happy with this 7. Unfortunately, Adam is not. So Adam is going to be mulliganing here. And again, kind of like what we talked about, you have to figure that VanMeter has to be favored after board here.
Yeah, I agree. Adam, he's taking a mulligan here. I think this deck is actually kind of prone to mulligans.
Really?
These decks kind of play out at the same pace. They're kind of mid-rangey 4-drop decks, basically. But Chris's 4-drops are very proactive once they start hitting, whereas Adam's are kind of more like gum up the ground and kind of build your fort. Like Adam's kind of like playing tower defense here.
Yeah.
So like even when he kind of curves out and starts deploying his planeswalkers, they don't really go aggro. So that puts him on the back foot more, I think. So he's more exposed to hands that like kind of misstep somewhere, I think.
Yeah, I kind of see that because his deck is just so, it seems so defensive-minded compared to Jund Monsters.
Yes.
And, you know, that does leave you to certain hands where you just can't afford to keep because you know how aggressive your opponent could be. So you're probably going to be mulliganing a lot more, even in this particular matchup, maybe not even in general, but particularly in this matchup, just because you know, if I don't do anything by turn 3, I'm probably losing.
Yeah.
You know? So Adam is going to draw 6 cards here and see if he's okay. Again, even though I think VanMeter is probably favored after board, I mean, anything can happen. We kind of saw that first game. It was looking good for VanMeter. And all of a sudden, Adam just pulled it out because of Archangel and some timely top decks. So, but unfortunately for him, sitting at 7-0 up a game, he now has to mulligan down to 5. So not always the best feeling.
Sure. Not only not the best feeling, a pretty miserable feeling. But
the only way it'd be worse if this was game 3.
That's true. That is true.
So at least he's up a game. But again, Mulliganing to 5 here against VanMeter. VanMeter's on the play. He's got a full grip of 7 cards. But there are some cards that Adam can draw that are pretty effective. An unchecked Elspeth can obviously win him the game. A Johnny is still pretty good if you can ramp to it. The only problem with the Johnny is that, like you said, it's more of a, I'm not going to really call it a defensive card, but it doesn't really, there could be situations where it doesn't impact the board. Like if you don't have another creature in play, you're basically just casting it and then just digging for a card.
Yeah.
So it doesn't help you if you're backpedaling.
Yeah, kind of just generates value most of the time. I mean, it can generate beats for sure.
Yeah.
Being able to add an extra 3 points of damage to every combat, that's certainly valuable too. Like it can be proactive, but yeah, generally it's just going to be kind of accumulating the value there. And that's kind of the nature of all of Adam Hart's threats. You mentioned like an unchecked Elspeth could be a problem. Really, an unchecked anything is bad news for VanMeter.
So VanMeter leads with an Elvish Mystic and a Temple of Malice, but no other play here. Adam Hart, he does have a Sylvan Carrot, so Temple of Plenty, Plains, and Sylvan Carrot, and now he has access to all his colors of mana.
So the perfect mulligan for Adam Hart.
Perfect mulligan. Although VanMeter has a pretty powerful spell on his own, and Domri right here, one of the few Planeswalkers in his deck. He's going to uptick it, and he's going to miss, unfortunately.
No value for you.
That is a trend for him. He's been missing a lot with Domri, although he does have a Rakdos return, and with Adam mulliganing to 5 this game, this Rakdos return is going to be pretty impactful.
Yep, that's rough.
Maybe he might not pull the trigger this turn.
With a land drop, he could empty Adam Hart's hand right now.
Yeah. So let's see here. Yeah, does Adam have 3 cards left in his hand?
I believe so.
Wow, so he hits a Carotid, and it looks like he does have a 4th land.
I'm happy pulling the trigger here.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, if you have other threats, I could see playing a different threat and then waiting for a Planeswalker to hit the board. I don't know what you get out of that.
But given how many 4-drops that Adam has in his decks, I'm with you. If you can empty his hand right now, just do it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the top of Adam's deck could be spicy. You know, like Adam can cast nearly every spell. Elspeth, Ajani, and Archangel Thune are the ones that he currently can't cast. But anything else comes off the top, Adam can sling it right now. So it looks like CVM is just going to fire it off.
Oh, so it looks like Adam has 4 cards, so he's going to be able to keep 1 of them.
Ah, okay. Well, that is a much different discussion.
Yeah. But I still think this play's fine. I mean, you leave him with 1 card. You still have a Domri in play at 5.
True.
So it's pretty tough to. And like you said, the cards that Chris is probably most scared of probably start at 5 mana.
Yeah, for
sure.
sure.
You know, Archangel, Ajani, Elspeth. So even if he does have one of them, he'll need to top deck a land or it in order to cast it.
Yeah, you put him in the position where like he can keep either the threat or the land to cast it, but not both.
But a pretty good one for Adam, though. He draws a Xenagos, so Xenagos can actually produce a Satyr and attack Domri down to 3. Plus, he can net himself some mana later on.
Yeah, so that's not bad. Yeah, and we caught a glimpse of CVM's hand there. Didn't really have alternatives, I think. Has basically just land and Golgari Charm.
Yeah, it looks like he might have a Putrefy there. Obviously, that's not really good against Adam's board right now. He did draw Polychronos, though.
No, not great. Polychronos is certainly going to help.
Yeah, he basically just needs some way to kind of go after Adam's Planeswalkers and attack. Obviously, Polychronos unchecked is going to be pretty good. Adam doesn't have many answers to it, like we said before. And even if he does have like a Banishing Light, VanMeter has a Golgari Charm, so he's got to be feeling pretty good about that.
Sure. So Banishing Light is likely the card the CVM is afraid of there. I was kind of wondering, like, what are we bringing in Golgari Charm for? What are we hoping to accomplish with that card?
Yeah, it doesn't seem very good in this matchup if you know what Adam's playing.
Yeah,
but obviously Chris is probably hedging a little bit, assuming that, okay, if you're a Naya player, you'll probably have Banishing Lights in your deck somewhere.
Yeah, that's a reasonable assumption. The regeneration, it could be helpful against overloaded Nizium Mortars, things like that. The -1/-1 effect, pretty marginal. It might be decent against a board full of Elspeth tokens, but yeah, it seems like you're getting 3 kind of marginal options out of Golgari Charm, but maybe the 3 of them combine into a card that's worth boarding in.
So it looks like VanMeter missed again with Domri, something we've been seeing a lot, mostly because he boards into a lot more spells. But so Vraska comes down and deals with the Xenagos, falling to 2 counters here. Let's see if Adam's able to find a way to deal with the Xenagos now, so the Vraska rather.
Very reasonable use of a Vraska. Vraska, it's a one-of out of CVM's sideboard and a very effective one in this matchup. And does get the opportunity to limit it to just one use, but the damage is done here.
Yeah, your Planeswalker's gone. You basically just have a 2/2 left in play. You only have 4 mana, so VanMeter's got to be feeling pretty good here. He still has that Domri in play, and it looks like he might be actually. He played the Blood Crypt untap. Is he maybe trying to cast Polukranos with? Because I don't think he has enough mana to cast Polukranos and have Golgari Charm. He has enough mana, but he doesn't have the colored mana.
Yeah, I think he just wants to attack with Mutavault here.
Okay.
Because Adam Hart he's tapped both the Sylvan Caryatids, so he has a free window to attack for 2 here.
Yeah, so a little weird sequencing here from Chris, but it looks like he's just going to uptake Domri now. Now he's going to attack and drop Adam down to 14. It looks like, oops, Celestia Charm comes down.
Tapped his Caryatids. In retrospect, that's a little conspicuous. Yeah,
well, I think VanMeter's got to feel happy about that because it means, okay, I'm not losing my Polukranos.
I agree. I think maybe that was the weird hesitation there.
Yeah.
He was like, well, I'd like to attack. The way Adam tapped his like universal blocker mana creatures instead of his random lands, like that's a little suspicious. What could that mean? Oh, sweet. I think that's what went through CVM's head there.
So stomping ground from Adam, and now Chris VanMeter is going to be able to monstrous his Domri ride, or his Polukranos rather, and get in for some serious damage here.
Yep. I'm not sure it's actually worth. Well, I said it's not. Adam being at 16 life kind of makes it worthwhile to just go ahead and monstrous because a 7/7 is so much bigger than a 5/5 in this situation.
And plus, he still has Domri in case he wants to just fight any creature that Adam has to play. Oh, wow. So Courser there, and now he's able to hit a Scryland to kind of hit some other threat. Looks like he's going to put that on bottom here. So not a bad hit there.
An Archangel Fnoon is
there's an Archangel.
Another spooky one.
So pretty good turn there for Adam.
Yep.
And Chris doesn't really have an answer now. He's got the Golgari Charm.
He's a turn away from, well, he's not now. He was about to be a turn away from ultimating Domri, and a 7/7 Polukranos with all of Domri's accoutrements is a threat that can easily take this game away, I think.
And now he can literally just fight and kill everything that Adam plays here. So
this way works too. So.
Yep. Archangel's going to get eaten by Polukranos, and now Adam's going to fall now to 3.
And that's still left with just that Golgari Charm in hand, but no big deal. There in case I need it.
So Adam plays a Temple of Triumph and Scries, and at this point, not much else that Adam has to do. Adam can do here. He's going to have to chump block for the turn. VanMeter hits finally with Domri playing a Scavenging Ooze, which produces another threat that's going to be able to kill Adam, even if Adam draws a chump block.
Oh yeah, that Ooze is going to grow out of control pretty quickly here.
Yeah, so Adam falls to Chris VanMeter in the second game. I mean, not much Adam really could do there. He mulliganed to 5, and VanMeter then cast Rakdos Return for 3 on turn 4, basically. So
yeah, I think Elspeth would have been the best draw there.
Yeah.
As a way you could, the Elspeth downtick is able to deal with Chris's threats. Chris does have Golgari Charm to protect, so Adam probably needs like running Elspeths there.
Yeah, because even whether he downticks or upticks to make tokens, either way he's going to be able to deal with it with Golgari Charm.
Yes.
But Chris VanMeter takes the second game. Now we're in game 3 here. Again, you kind of saw the power of Rakdos Return in this particular matchup, particularly in game 1. Obviously, Adam, in game 2 rather, obviously Adam mulliganed to 5, so it seemed even more impressive. But you kind of pointed out that there's really no way for Adam to stop a Rakdos Return, and plus, his deck kind of doesn't really turn on until turn 3 or 4. So by the time Chris can kind of cast Rakdos Return for like 3 or 4, it's usually going to be for pretty much a lot of the cards in Adam's hand.
Yeah, Rakdos Return is pretty much always going to be really impressive when it's cast in this matchup. It looked there, I think, a little better than it might even normally. Again, because Adam mulliganed to 5, Chris was on the play, which makes a huge difference in terms of, if Adam just had like an extra card in his hand, that would have.
I think it's probably at its best when you just cast it for 3 to get rid of the last 3 cards in Adam's hand, because the last 3 cards are likely going to be like a planeswalker, a creature, and maybe a land. Like that's usually good enough, you know? Because Adam doesn't really have any that much card drawing in his deck. He does have a Johnny. That's kind of a way to kind of regroup some advantage, but beyond that, there's really not much else. He's basically playing off the top of his deck there.
Yeah, and that's traditionally the weakness of these kind of planeswalker heavy, the quote-unquote super friends decks. Big effects that interact on the stack rather than on the board. In this standard format, Rakdos Return, one of the biggest ones. Cyclonic Rift is another really scary one. These decks can't really do anything about that.
Yeah, they're basically, and when you're playing Super Friends like the blue version, you at least have permission technically. Like you have ways to kind of counter those big spells.
Yeah.
When you're playing Naya Super Friends, there's really nothing you can do. You're basically all in. You gain access to some more powerful planeswalkers, to some more powerful interactions like Perforos plus Elspeth is pretty exciting.
It is.
And obviously a Johnny is another planeswalker that you get access to. Along with Xenagos, but in general, you're very exposed to kind of over-the-top spells like Rakdos Return, like you mentioned, the Cyclone.
Yeah, for sure. And mostly just exposed as a result of your pace. These decks, they're lumbering. They're very powerful when they get going, but they do have to kind of get their footing and get going.
It's kind of the reason that I'm surprised that Adam's not playing Stormbreath Dragon, because no matter how clunky your deck is, you can still get that draw where you just cast Stormbreath Dragon on turn 4, and then suddenly you can just win in a couple of turns after that.
True.
So I think Stormbreath Dragon is really great because, one, it's just naturally powerful, and two, it can kind of make you an aggressive deck, even though you're not maybe set up to be one.
Yeah,
you know?
That's fair. Possibly one argument there is that he is trying to not necessarily turn off, but kind of mitigate Doomblade effects. There aren't really good targets. You have Courser Krufix, which can have done its job. You do have 2 Tristani and 2 Archangel. Those really, you're very happy to Doomblade those, but
yeah, I think it comes down to whether or not you think just Tristani and Archangel are better than 4 Stormbreath.
Sure.
Because that's probably what the swap you have to make is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's right, but my gut says Stormbreath is probably just too powerful not to play.
I agree there in terms of like raw power level. One concern might be the mana base. It's possible that double red is actually more of a stretch. Now, Adam does have 4 Byzzium Mortars, so he's obviously he is intending at some points during his tournament to have access to 3 red mana.
Yeah.
So maybe that's not too much of a concern. He has 4 Sylvan Caryatids, 2 Voyaging Satyrs, which can kind of function to turn 1 red source into 2.
It's pretty interesting to see how these red-green X decks are going to kind of evolve in the future. I mean, obviously, it first started with just red-green decks, like Polychrono Stormbreath Dragon, and then we kind of saw it turn into Jund monsters. We see some of it as Naya. So what's the better splash? Is it black? Is it white? You kind of lean towards black because you get these powerful haymakers like Rakdos Return after board, plus Dreadbore and Abrupt Decay help you get removal game 1. But I could easily see Naya being white being a solid splash too, just because of the planeswalker options that you have.
Yeah, and if you want to explore all of the options, actually blue is a totally reasonable place to go too. Prior to Journey into Nyx, there were variants that were planeswalker heavy, kind of in the same way this Naya deck is here. They could lean on Kiora and Ralzarek.
Okay.
So just kind of jamming planeswalkers down people's throats. Cyclonic Rift, again, is a fantastic spell when you have ramp and things like Xenagos to like pump mana into it. So yeah, there are all the options.
Yeah.
Literally every color can work.
Especially because of Born of Gods, and they all have Scrylands now. You can use the Scrylands across any color combination now.
Yeah. For a while there were certain color combinations that just had to feel left out. Like jealous kids sitting there was like just the regular lands. I got to play Guild Gates.
So unfortunately, it's Chris VanMeter's turn to mulligan. He's going down to 6. It looks like Adam is okay with his, or at least comfortable with his opening 7. VanMeter now going to 6 cards. And on the draw, do you think his sideboard strategy changes at all?
Chris's sideboard strategy?
Yeah, I mean, he's basically, his deck is so proactive. It doesn't seem like it's one of those decks that really cares what it does, whether it's on the play or draw.
Yeah, I agree. I don't love the Golgari Charms. Obviously, I can see Adam's deck and Chris can't. It's possible that he wants to bring the Golgari Charms out when he is on the draw, because the regeneration side of that card is so much better when you have an extra turn to get out ahead on board.
Well, it could also be the situation like you mentioned where he can maybe catch Adam when Adam tries to down-tick the Elspeth.
Sure.
So maybe that, because again, I thought originally maybe he just brought in Golgari Charm because he thought Adam had Banishing Light.
Sure.
But again, being able to stop Elysium Mortars or being able to stop it down, take Elspeth, that could play a huge role in the game. So, but I'm with you. It didn't really seem to be that impactful in the game too. I don't know if you need it. Or if there's other better cards that you can be playing in place.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just straight did nothing in game 2, but it certainly could have if things had gone differently for Adam. So it's not a dead card by any means, but it's one that I would have reconsidered in sideboarding going into game 3. And I'm curious if Chris actually did take it out.
So Temple Shrine from Adam and a Elvish Mystic from Chris.
Okay, Chris and Adam both developing their mana as they intend.
Adam takes 2 from playing a Temple Garden, plays a Sylvan Carotid.
Yeah, these Naya decks, their mana base is ambitious. They can cast their spells with relative consistency, but sometimes they take a turn off to scry one. They sometimes start the game at 14. There are prices to pay for cramming Mizium Mortars, Elspeth, and a Johnny in the same deck.
So VanMeter plays another Elvish Mystic, continues to ramp. Unfortunately, he doesn't have red mana currently. But if he ever does draw it, he does have that Rakdos return, so it's going to be pretty impressive if he can actually cast it because he's able to ramp right now, but short on red mana currently.
Yep. The red mana will give him enough mana to Rakdos return the Xenagos away, crucially.
Yeah, so top deck red mana would be good. Yeah, like you said, it'll kill Xenagos plus make Adam discard 3 cards. So he also has a Mizium Mortars in his hand along with a Putrefy.
Yeah,
but
now, if he doesn't hit here, well, he did. that works.
But if he doesn't, of course he's going to hit.
That would have been very bad, was my point. But we don't need to go there, because he did find it. He's going to slow roll it, too.
Not even a Temple of Abandon to kind of make him sweat a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, the Temple's a miss, is the thing. Yeah. It's got to come into play untapped. If you give Adam a turn to get that Xenagos to 4 loyalty, then you're in a world of hurt. Then you're always a mana behind on Rakdos return.
Yeah, and Adam can potentially ramp to like a Johnny or even Elspeth if he has another land. So VanMeter now probably just going to Rakdos return here for 3.
Yep. And that is, as we said, going to get rid of the Xenagos, leave Adam with, I believe, 1 card in hand.
So again, Rakdos return just proving really, really tough for Adam's deck to deal with.
I feel like we've seen this game before.
Yeah, it's
just like pick a card, keep 1. Also, you have a Satyr.
Yeah, it's basically like the last game.
Yeah.
So Adam's going to draw here. Really needs one of his Planeswalkers to kind of get him back into this one. VanMeter doesn't have that much left going. He does have some removal spells, but
more than they had last game.
Yeah. Courser comes down. Celestial Charm on top of Adam's library, and now Adam's going to play a Temple, tap, and gain a life. And swing in with the Satyr.
So Adam's sort of vaguely ahead on board. Not vaguely, it's a decent enough presence on the board, but...
So VanMeter really needs to draw Polychronos or Stormbear Dragon to kind of put his stamp on this game. He doesn't have double red yet, but Polychronos would be a good draw. But yeah, like...
Just a single red source. He would love to overload that Mizium Mortars, but he is several turns away from even dreaming about that.
And do you just deal with Courser right here?
Yeah, I think I fire it off here. That Courser, yeah, we have kind of a relative parity on board right now. You don't want a source of potential card advantage to sit in play for multiple turns for Adam.
So Adam attacks with the Satyr, dropping Chris to 14 here. We know he drew a Celestial Charm for the turn.
Yep. Just going to trade 2. There's a threat.
Yep, pretty good one. Gorkline Rampager here.
Yep.
So he can play a land, play the Rampager, and still have Putrefy mana up if he wants.
He's just going to jam it. There's an argument for maybe turning your Mystic sideways and seeing what happens, but I think you would rather have a 4/4 than to tricksily deal with a 2/2/9 or something like that.
So VanMeter is going to attack with Gorkline Rampager, dropping Adam down to 12. VanMeter just has a handful of removal, Abrupt Decay, Putrefy. So this is going to be one of those games where it's really going to come down to Planeswalkers yet again.
Yeah, two removal spells, none of which actually deal with a Planeswalker. Now, CVM did find Dreadbore, so that extra option is going to help him out there, and looks like gets a little value added out of that Abrupt Decay.
Wow, so Adam loses his Celestial Charm, just draws yet another land here. So VanMeter, pretty good shape here. He draws another Gorkline Rampager. This could end the game right here.
Because I'm not blocking here. But Adam is. Oh, that block won't do it.
Yep,
But,
and
yeah,
there it is.
that's not like, certainly not a misplay. That's the sensible block. But yeah, Adam didn't really have much going there. But once again, Rakdos return just
It's too good.
just stole all of the action and ran away with the game.
So Chris VanMeter continues his winning ways, moves to 8-0, defeats one of the other, I believe there's 2 other undefeated players. Now there are only
There will be
maybe
Chris and one other.
potentially 2. Adam Hart falls down to 7-1. Not sure how the other match is going, but potentially there could be only 2 undefeateds left. They'll likely draw next round, and it looks like VanMeter, if all things go well, could get another standard open top 8 here. This would be the 2nd week in a row.
Second week in a row. I believe he has 13 total.
13 total.
13
wow.
total, 2 wins. Yeah, no stranger to success here on the Open Series. And looking to go 1 spot deeper.
Wow. And again, he's already in the lead of the player championship board. He's got a firm control. He's got another top 8 here, just really just dominating with Jund Monsters.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he just can't quite get there in Legacy. Can't kind of replicate the success he's having in Standard in Legacy.
But